Welcome back in, everyone. This is Black Girls Talking TV, where we bring the group chat to life and discuss all your favorite TV shows. Today is all about Big Brother 27, Episode 3, The Veto Comp. I am Victoria. I am one of your hosts, and I'm a psychologist.
And I'm Kamaria. I am an attorney and I am a pop culture writer. So, any thoughts, overall thoughts on this episode before we jump into what was
I
happening?
would say not overall thoughts for real, for real. I mean, the whole episode I feel like was centered around this Keanu and Jimmy beef, which we will get into.
Mm-hmm.
But also, just
Mm-hmm.
know at the very end, we will be going over live feed spoilers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you don't want to watch those, we will let you know so that you can
Mm-hmm.
head on out, but save the video so you can come back and watch that part.
But we're not getting into that until the end, and we will let you know. Clear warning. So right now, we're just talking about the episode until we warn you.
Yes, 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 yes.
So yeah, overall, I feel like this episode was cool. It was a cool episode too. Like veto episodes are never my favorite, but they had some characters. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy and like Keanu. I like Keanu. Jimmy, he's entertaining. He's a character, you know. But their little situation at the end of the episode, he's like, "How long did it take you to write that?" or whatever he said to him. I was like, "Yes, how long?" Because it was giving very just like theater.
Yes, practice written down. You know when you
Yeah.
have head movies, you play without what you want to say. It definitely was
Mhm.
given that. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump
Mhm.
into the Keanu and Jimmy beef.
Mhm.
One thing I was thinking about with this dynamic, because we always gonna put society in it because that is what this
Mhm.
is a representation of. Keanu is
Mhm.
a big man of color. Okay.
Mhm.
And I know this is something that, especially people who are often in the gym and they get really big in size, because my
Mhm.
partner is like that. On top of him just being a dark
Mhm.
skinned black man, he's always, always, always aware of his tone, how he talks,
Mhm.
how he shows up in spaces, because he knows that automatically puts him in a category of aggressive, that he can be very intimidating, like no matter what he's saying. And so I was just
Mhm.
wondering in those interactions, like what possibly
Mhm.
Keanu was thinking on the inside about how much can he actually say to this
Mhm.
white male who is coming at him, right? Like for the very thing that
Mhm.
he did. Like Jimmy was talking about Keanu, but it's like Keanu didn't start talking about you until he found out that you was going around telling everybody to vote Keanu off. So,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
yeah, very, very interesting social dynamics there for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic that Jimmy and Keanu has. Like Jimmy seems not Jimmy, Keanu seems genuine. He just also seems to be very like I don't want to not gullible, but like something about him isn't like gonna look beyond the surface of things in my view. And then with Jimmy, he's like looking beyond the surface to stuff that's not even there. And so it's like these two are just like completely like going past each other in the opposite direction. So
Yeah,
I don't know. Their beef feels like I would love a more I don't want to say formidable opponent like Keanu's not, but I feel like Keanu hasn't done anything. It feels like he's just being picked on a little bit by Jimmy. So I feel like I would love a different, like a more formidable opponent. Like since Jimmy seems to no longer be on Rachel, I feel like that would have been like something. But yeah, I don't have a lot else to say about their beef.
yeah, I mean,
Do
it just
you?
seems like, I mean, Jimmy, he's just trying to get the strong guys out. And so he was like, Zach is up
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Might as well put Keanu up there too.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, it's not really based on anything. I do, like you said,
Mhm.
the ending speech was like so dramatic. And I don't think
Mhm.
Jimmy accomplished what he thought he was going to accomplish in that speech. And I do not think people are looking at Jimmy as less of a threat because of it. Like he's this honest and trustworthy person for calling it out when he literally
Mhm.
went to everyone. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it's like we all know you
Mhm.
can't, like I'm in the house and I know you came to me talking about Keanu and now you're blowing up on
Mhm.
Keanu, for talking to a few
Mhm.
people. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see what happens moving forward, child.
I did want to say one more thing about that moment when he called him out at the veto ceremony. Ava's face. Ava was just
Yeah.
like she was not like not fly would have flown in that thing. She was so shocked. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, Ava.
But yeah.
While we're here, I do think Ava. She's very vibey. I actually liked Ava. My like for
Mm,
Ava grew in this
mm,
episode because she was just. She's
mm,
bubbly. She's all over the place. She did say,
mm,
I'm not at risk this week, so I'm playing it cool.
mm,
And so I think that is actually
mm,
impacting the house just a little bit, right? Like there's all the people
mm,
who are safe. Like you just don't really see them in strategic conversations besides Zach
mm,
because it's just like we don't need to
mm,
have them. But Ava
mm.
definitely cool girl. Like when she was twerking or whatever, she was like, "Yeah, I call this my grandma something." When she was talking about her booty.
Ah,
But yeah, she has
yeah.
I like her personality.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? We're gonna transition to Vince. Like, what do you think about his HOH? Because it's interesting.
Yeah, I think Vince is very perceptive. I thought his like him knowing that Jimmy was trying to control everything, thinking that Jimmy runs the show was a good read and allowing Jimmy
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like just feeding him what he wanted to hear, feeding his ego. I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vince, I don't know if he was, like he said, he was not confused, but he thought that Amy and Ashley would have had opposite reactions to being put on the block.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think what he was expecting to get out of this week, he did not get, right? And then on top of that, your target,
Mm-hmm.
which was Ashley, is now off the block. So I do think he like
Mm-hmm.
overall had a rougher first HOH for sure.
Yeah.
And then like there's this budding drama between Keanu and Jimmy thinks he's
Mm-hmm.
running things. So I feel bad for him a little bit towards the end of the episode because I was like, boy, he got to
Mm-hmm.
juggle a whole bunch. But I still stand by what I said last week. Like, I feel like Vince, he wants to play his own game.
Mm-hmm.
I am
Mm-hmm.
interested to see how far this is going to be able to get him before he has to make some more like definitive decisions about what side of the house he wants to lean on, who he
Mm-hmm.
actually wants to work with. I this Kelley thing, like it's so much. So I guess we could kind of just break it down. What were your overall thoughts?
Yeah, no, so it's hard to kind of split my like live feed brain version of Vince and like what they show in the episode because they both are very valuable because like with live feed you don't get the DR confessionals and with the show you don't get the live feed stuff. So I'm going to just focus on, just what the show shows and then when we get into the spoilers at the end, I'll talk a little bit about like the different perspective I may have from the live feeds. But on the show and based on the DR stuff, I think that like the read last time about like he wants to be an individual player is right. I do think that I don't think he's making great decisions. But I do think he is kind of like not loyal to anyone per se. Like, cause even Kelley is just like, I'm number one. She's my number one. But like, is she really, or are you just like this poor of a player, that you would put her up? Because I think it's just a little risky. I personally would love to see her go home. I want to see, like, they be like, click chaos. That's what I want. I'm clicking the chaos button. I'd love to see her go
Yeah.
home. Gather from like the feeds a little bit that she's not a super fan and pro super fan. I don't like the show
She's not
having
a
too many
super
people who
fan
are
from the
not.
moment she said, "Put me on the block." I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She said, "Put me on the block." I said, "Baby, you
Yeah.
need to go home. This ain't your game. This ain't your
Yeah,
game."
yeah. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on his HOH. I don't think he's necessarily loyal to anyone, but I do like that he has this right read of Jimmy. And that's I think very, very valuable for him. And it just also shows that he's like playing the game with his eyes open a little bit. But I just don't think he's like his strategy is right. I don't think he's making smart moves. Like even when with the first noms, I was just like, this is a little bit bloody. Everybody's gonna be mad. Now Zay's not mad, so it is what it is. Maybe that was the right read, but
Who do you think wouldn't have
yeah.
been mad? I feel like everybody would have been mad.
Um, I mean, I think you could have set up a pawn. I think the way he set it up, Ashley is like his target, and Ashley's the person who I think she could sense that this was for me, because it's like he didn't tell me about it, blah, blah, blah. So you made her mad. And then I think with Amy, it's like, I was just saying, don't put her on. And then not only did you not put her, did you put her on, you put me on too. So like, okay. And so I don't know. The one thing I would say is like Amy, like I felt like they didn't really show us like how she felt about being on the block, They showed us Ashley, especially the reaction in the room. And I know that's in line with what Vince was saying about her, but at the same time, it's like that we didn't see her actual reaction, her calm reaction. We didn't hear her say anything about like, yeah, I feel okay, I feel this, I feel that sort of thing. So
Yeah, we didn't. You're right. We didn't see much of her and her reaction. I mean, outside of what we would say it's obvious, right? Like she came in as an accomplice, finally solidified her spot, and now she's on the block for sticking up for somebody. So I think because the episode was so dramatic with this Keanu and Jimmy back and forth and trying to figure out what Vince is thinking as an HOH, she just kind of fell to the wayside, and Zay as well. So yeah, we didn't see either of them too much in the episode.
True. You want to get into the veto draw and veto ceremony and all the good stuff?
Yes. So Amy was drawn and she chose Rachel, of course, because they already had a conversation, and Rachel's like, if I win, I'm pulling you down, so no brainer. And then Zach also got pulled. It was interesting that Zach and Zay had this conversation about them potentially working together, but I think that's just off of the fact that they vibe, they like each other, right? So Zach, he seemed a little hesitant to really want to play and go all out because he didn't want to have to basically choose between Zay and Vince when he's pretty much in a solidified alliance with Vince, but he has like this really nice friendship, working relationship with Zay. So yeah, he wasn't gonna play. It was funny though that at the start of the veto draw, Ashley was in the shower there waiting for her. I was just like, girl, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. So yeah, do we want to get into the actual veto comp?
Yeah. So let's get into the veto. Ashley won, and she needed to win. I was very glad for her. I was like, it upset the balance of power, and it just made for a messier week. So that's, check that off. Really enjoyed that. Did you have any thoughts on the veto?
Yeah, I thought it was, somewhat right up her alley in terms of being able to look at the fine details. Like, she was really the only one, like, counting the tire treads. She was looking at the direction of them, the spacing of the treads. She was counting the marks in the shoe. So, like, you could tell she took her time with each one. She wasn't going back and forth like some of the other people were. Just doing, like, these overall guesses and not really looking at the little details. So I felt like it was the veto designed for her, honestly.
Yeah. And no, and that's good. Like some of the discourse last year was around like the fact that like there were not, especially Jags season, like they're not equitable comps. Like there's a lot of comps that are for the big muscular guys. And, this season thus far, they're seeming to have a little bit more of a variety so that a wide variety of players can win. And I think it's very important. But it made me think about like something that's been in my mind lately is Rachel. Like Rachel during her season, like I haven't watched it in a long, long time. Like it's been years. But my memory of Rachel was not as a good social player, but as a good competition beast. Like I remember she was back against the wall because she was not socially that great in my view, but she could win a competition when she needed to, and that was her energy, and her vibe was like, the floaters felt like people who weren't, able to win comps and not directing the game, of course. And so I wonder, given that she is older now, you know what I mean, and all that athleticism is not there, I'm wondering like, are they going to truly have equitable comps throughout the season? And how is she going to fare? Like, what's her social game going to be like? Because it dawned on me after the fact. It's like she is a legend, but a legend for certain, she became a legend because of this competition, aspect, as opposed to the social game. But at the same time, I haven't watched it in a long time, and especially season 14. I think that's her second season. I haven't watched it in a long time, and I know that was a tad bit different for her. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
this year though, her social game so far has been really, really good. Like, I loved
Mhm.
how when she sat down with Keanu and Keanu was like, everyone says like basically you're this big bad wolf, but like let me just get to know the person. And she immediately
Mhm.
jumps in and was like, tell me why you're here. And he's like, well, I was gonna
Mhm.
ask you that, but since you asked me first, I'll go ahead and answer.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
immediately allowed him to like let down whatever wall he was gonna,
Mhm.
have up against
Mhm.
Rachel, right? Where he had to
Mhm.
like completely go into this vulnerable space, and then her also sticking up for Keanu, going back and letting him know, hey, like
Mhm.
your name is floating out there. Her having this relationship with Amy, I feel like she's doing very well. And then even the conversation she had with Jimmy, where she was trying to
Mhm.
lower her threat level by saying, hey, like, I'm not going to win. Nobody would allow me to
Mhm.
win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
good to take me to final
Mhm.
two. So I don't
Mhm.
know. I think she's doing really well socially, better
Yeah,
than
I'm
I
not
thought
saying.
she was. Like,
Yeah.
honestly,
Mhm.
she's like stirring the pot in like very subtle
Mhm.
ways. She's not pushing
Mhm.
aggressively, but she is
Mhm.
definitely like she's using her power of influence that she has
Mhm.
in like these very
Mhm.
subtle pushes.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's not. I just it that's been in the back of my head lately. I was just like, huh, that's interesting. Like the Rachel that became Rachel is is a comp beast, and I'm like, is she going to be able to continue that now? So when we're talking about the equitable comps, it made me think of that. So back to the veto comp, Vince has to renominate because Ashley takes herself off the block, and the renom he chooses after this whole rigmarole of who he was going to do. It was between Jimmy, it was between Keanu and Kelley. He picks Kelley, and so we're set up for a person being foolish going home on week one. So I'm excited for that. That's what I hope the stars align for. Um, yeah, Kelley, yeah. I want the bad like players out, and I do not want their ideas, however bold they may be, to gain steam.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I'm with you on that one. I don't know why she suggested herself to go up there. And it seems like by the end of the episode, she was regretting her decision. She had some
Oh
tears
yeah.
leaving the renom ceremony. So we'll see what happens. We have more to say about that in the spoiler section. So
Mhm.
if you want to hear about those
Mhm.
conversations around
Mhm.
her, stay for that. Let's go
Yeah.
ahead and get into some of the alliances. There was an alliance
Mhm.
formed this episode, the Heavy Hitters, ran by
Mhm.
Jimmy and Zach, who pulled in
Mhm.
Rachel, Vince, Riley, and Morgan. I felt like this was so
Mhm.
random.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it does feel very random. And Jimmy's just out here with, like we said yesterday, or whenever, he's got his hand in many cookie jars. It's kind of like everything's just they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't see
Um,
Jimmy's gameplay being able to last
mhm.
very long before people say like he's actually compromising my game because he's having too many
Mhm.
conversations. People still might keep him around to be a shield,
Mhm.
because he's
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
gaining,
Mhm.
enemies everywhere.
Mhm.
But we
Mhm.
shall see. I know this episode. Oh, go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say, I feel like I have more hope for Jimmy than you seem to have, and I also get more like of a sense that Jimmy is gonna be all right. Like I feel like Jimmy's gonna be all right. I think he has the most obvious game, yes, but I think it sets him up to have this shield, and I think once he gets more information, he's gonna be a dangerous player because I feel like he's willing to do a lot of different things. The only thing that's holding him back is he's so obvious. He's so obvious. And so that's the only thing. So if he can learn to be have a little more finesse, which I'm surprised he doesn't have as much being in DC. I guess he got to be pushy, like being in politics in DC. I guess he's got to be pushy and all that good stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, child. We'll see.
But I'm not counting him out at all. Like, I don't even think that. I think he's just a vocal person, and people are gonna make room for him a little bit, just because one, he's a shield, and two, they're just in all of these groups with him and stuff like that.
I mean, I think it just goes back to what I said about in the last episode. You know, like Jimmy wants to dominate, Vince doesn't want to be dominated. I think that came out a little bit in this episode, where Vince was, feeding Jimmy what he wanted to hear, but in the confessionals, he's kind of like, I'm not doing any of this shit that Jimmy says. Like, why would I put Keanu up? Which I feel like putting Keanu up would have just been a bad move because there was no reason for it. Anyways, and Kelley already nominated herself, so yeah, put her ass up there. But yeah, I don't.
You talking about for events?
Yeah.
I think that Vince. I think that the opposite is actually true. But
you think he should have put Keanu
up? Yeah, mainly because Keanu doesn't seem well connected in the house.
I can see that. Yeah, he's not.
And I feel like Kelley is an ally for him. It's like,
but can Kelley actually help you move further when she's willing to do dumb stuff?
You just got to keep her in check. You just like, we're not doing that.
I guess so.
And she'll be like, oh, okay, we're not. That's my thought on it. Any renewed thoughts or any fresh thoughts about the Mom Squad? You know, one of them is about to be down bad a little bit.
No, them or the Jim Bros. And we didn't see the other group that was formed last episode between Jimmy, Mickey, Morgan, and so yeah,
just the three of them. You mean the triple threat or something like that? Yeah. I mean, I think they have a friendship. I like to follow the alliances that have friendships, even though in recent years some of the alliances that don't have friendships per se have been doing quite well. Like alliances that start from like day one just for whatever reasons and they stick together. They've been doing all right. But yeah, we got some showmances budding here. We got Zach and Lauren. Zach seems way more interested than Lauren does. But Lauren also seems like she could be a slow burn. Riley and Catherine, again, Riley seems way more interested. I can't read Catherine. We haven't heard anything from Catherine. She probably is like, what? Riley's interested in me? No clue. Didn't even realize that. Because she's probably just not checking for anything or anyone's attention. But yeah, thoughts on either of these showmances?
No, just will be interested to see where they go. I love how Rachel stepped in with, was it Riley, and was like, oh yeah, you like her? Like, yeah, no, it's not obvious. Not to the point where it would hurt your game. So yeah, a great social play moment from Rachel this season. So yeah, we shall see.
That's cute.
And Zach also, he seemed to be inspired by the fact that Rachel was able to win and find love on Big Brother.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, Zach's like, I think this is a non-spoiler statement. But after this, we're going to get into spoilers. But like, Zach seems to be doing better and being better positioned this right now than either of us expected. I'm like,
agreed. Yeah.
We were very, 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 very wrong about how Zach was going to do. But I wonder sometimes how much of it is his like ability to like be strategic and or be social versus like just being this like type of cool guy presence, you know, that people just kind of flock to and allow to lead, you know. I'm wondering if that's some of it or what. But yeah, any other thoughts before we get into spoilers?
Nope, let's get into these spoilers. So if you not want to hear the spoilers, this is your time to save the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, and we will see you for the next episode. But please come back and watch once the next episode comes out. So alrighty, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
All right. One of the things I will say, like, for me, I wanted to touch on Vince because, like, one of the things that I feel like is happening in the live feed edit of him versus the show edit of him is that, like, this whole Kelley thing, you know, he called her a gnat. He called her like a gnat that like follows him around, and or like I don't know if that's not an exact quote. The gnat is, He's like, he can keep in a cage. I think that's what he said. And so that's why I said earlier that I'm like, he doesn't value her as like a player. Like, he's not connected. He's a solo player. That's why I say I do agree with that. Like, he's a solo player because he's willing to let somebody go, blah, blah, blah. But I think that he just, in some ways, it seems like he doesn't actually value her enough as a number one. And it just, but it also just seems like this doesn't make sense. And it seems like he comes to the space where he does understand that a little bit, but I don't know.
Well, from what I was hearing from live feed updates is that Kelley was kind of going around with this idea of, oh yeah, I don't need to, talk to anyone. Like, I'm gonna win the BB blockbuster, so it doesn't really matter. I don't need to have conversations. I don't need to pitch myself. So maybe that's why he's not seeing any value, because it's like, if you're not here to play, I can't take you with me at the end of the day, because if the roles are reversed, how are you going to be able to advocate for me, be strategic for me, if you can't even do that for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that he's expressed that or he's emphasized that, but I can see how someone would feel that way, you know what I mean, about it or whatever. But he could be doing a little bit of an act, because like the diary, he seemed more clear than he seems on the episode, but he's also like seeming like he's acting a little bit for the folks to be like, what? So there's that. But Kelley, she also doesn't like Rachel. And I don't remember the exact statement, but I remember it was something like, wouldn't it be great if I sent her home? Like, I'm a newbie, and like send one of the most iconic players in the game home, because I did this like bold move of like whatever. Or she sent her friend. I can't remember if she wanted to send Amy home or if she wanted to send Rachel home, but if I remember correctly, it was Rachel. But I'm like, Rachel not even on the block, so it must have been Amy. But there's just so much that I feel like the show doesn't even touch on, especially with the Keanu thing. Like, it seems to be very apparent on the laugh feeds that Keanu's just not connected. He's not connected. Like, and that's why I think Ava just immediately told on him, because it's like he's not connected anywhere, and he's telling everybody and talking to everybody, but no one seems to be as connected. Not no one, but like he just doesn't seem to have his people, and it seems like if he was on the block, everybody would have voted him out. Like, that's where it's giving. Do we want to talk about the women's alliance that was seeming, to be something?
Yes. So Amy and Rachel are trying to get together a women's alliance. It seems like Ashley is kind of in this as well. And they went and told Lauren about it, thinking Lauren was going to be all in. And Lauren is like, nope. And she went to Zach and told Zach about it. I don't know if she told anyone else, but I know she told Zach about this alliance. So what are your thoughts on that?
She's not a girl's girl. And you would have thought she would have been the most girls of them all, because she's so girly, like, But maybe Catherine would be the most girls. But Catherine also doesn't seem to be connected, similar to Keanu, based on the live feeds or whatever. But yeah, it's like that sucks, because like the women this season seem very smart. Not saying the women of past seasons haven't, but this is a particularly smart bunch, I feel like. And I feel like they have some potential to do things. I do not know if they will, though, but, it'll be exciting. I feel like I'm hearing a little bit, and I'm not sure, because, like, I don't think I checked in too much today, but I'm hearing that, like, they're possibly trying to send Kelley home, which... What is it? There's one more woman than men right now, right?
Yeah.
One more woman than a man, than men, whatever. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, so I guess they feel like they got room to spare, with that. But yeah, I would love to see them bust up these guys. And I think that's what originally some of that had been about, with Zay. I think, the Zay versus Ashley versus Kelley, or Amy, excuse me, of it all. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that they could have just kept it with them three and then waited to see who else they felt like they could bring into this women's alliance. Because it's like, they don't have a relationship with Lauren. It doesn't seem like I don't ever see them
Mm,
talking together. So it's kind of like Lauren is
mm-hmm,
always. I mean, Zach likes her, so they in it,
mm-hmm.
you
She's
know.
always with him.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's kind of like you said in the first episode, like alliances that with people who like
It
each
was
other, they go a
genuinely,
lot
yeah.
farther. And so I
Mm-hmm,
think Rachel, Ashley, and Amy, because they like each other, they could have just kept it between them three. Like that could have been a successful
mm-hmm,
all women's alliance, without
mm-hmm,
them
mm-hmm,
showing their hand. Because I mean, Zach is gonna tell all the guys, so. I don't know. Maybe it can still work. We'll
mm-hmm,
see. We'll see what Rachel does with her charm and strategy.
mm-hmm. So one of the things that stood out to me in some of like the who goes home sort of battle that like between Zay or Amy or Kelley is that like there are different opinions. The women seem to have different opinions. The men, Jimmy, there's different types of angles to this all. And I think originally the women were pushing for Zay. I think that at this point, because everything's so fluid, I think Zay has won the women over and they're shifting to Kelley. They don't like Kelley. Kelley seems to be socially ostracized as well. That's why I think that Vince just doesn't, I don't want to say like her, but she seems to be like as nerdy or as, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being nerdy, but like she seems to be not as socially in flow with everyone as it may appear that she would be. So I don't know what the vote's going to be right now, to be honest. I have to dip back in a little bit, but it looked like for a while that it was Zay. Now it looks like it's Kelley, on the women's side at least, but it's so split in the middle and up and down. But yeah, I hope they have a split vote this season, like throughout. Like I would love
Yes.
it. I hate a house
I
vote.
hate house votes. Those are so annoying.
Yeah.
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 Please don't do it to us, BB27. Don't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um.
I mean, that's the one good thing about the BB arena, whatever they're calling it this
Yeah.
year. It's forcing them to make on the fly decisions a little bit or have like, oh, I didn't get to talk to them. So that you can just like blame actually what you wanted to do on not having a chance to really talk to people and you thought this was the vote. And you like, I wanted to vote this way. I thought this was the vote or whatever. Like Angela from last season or whatever, when she was mad, she's like, no one told me what the vote was. I wanted to vote with you guys, but the other thing from the live feeds is that Zach is just really in a great position. I like who would have thought that we talk good man shit about this man early on, and
Surprise,
apparently
surprise.
he is killing it. But like I really do think some of that is like pretty privilege, buff, guy privilege a little bit. Like I think people just are naturally following and gravitating towards him based on that. But he could just be a smart guy, because I don't think that I discounted him based on whether I thought he was intelligent or not. I discounted him based on the fact that he didn't seem to know the game. And I
Yeah.
think I was saying before how like Derek X was someone who didn't necessarily know the game but then caught on. And so I'm gonna like say what I said before about him. I think he's got a lot of potential, for those who watch Pretty Woman. It's like, you got a lot of potential. I don't know if that's
It may not
a
resonate
scene,
with the kids. That may not resonate.
I know. It's like,
But yeah, I
think you
do
got a
agree.
lot of
I definitely agree
potential.
with you. He definitely surprised me this episode, and with
Mm-hmm,
the live
mm-hmm,
feed updates, I was like,
mm-hmm,
oh, okay, we'll see what happens.
mm-hmm.
Another, I think this is our last point.
Oh
From the
yeah.
live feeds is
Mm-hmm,
Zay. I feel like, oh my God, at what point do we just know that there are words we do not say? But
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Zay, he was in a conversation with Keanu and he said the R
mm-hmm,
word. He
mm-hmm.
immediately was like, oh my goodness, like, shouldn't say that. Keanu was like, yeah, you shouldn't say that. And Zay is like, yeah, that's one of the words I'm working on not saying. And it's like, what are the other words you working on not saying, buddy? Like, what? What?
Yeah, yeah. That is interesting. It's like one of the words. What are the other words? But like I said, I think I said this before. I think it was on a Love Is Blind or Love Island recap last year, or whenever Jared was on, Cerie's son. he said the R word and people were calling for him to be removed and he wasn't. So, they probably won't be removed,
Yeah.
but it is something that I feel like more and more people should know that it's not accepted speech. I do know that, like, for a lot of us, it was in, like, depending on how old you are, and I have no clue what was accepted in his environment. Like, he grew up in a very strict religious household, and so I have no clue what was going on, with that, and what statements were made or were normalized. And so maybe some of that's it too, because it didn't seem like there was a lot of diversity in his background, so it just may be, I don't know, he may be actively trying to be, better, but at the same time, it's like, seems like you would know this, buddy. And it also seems like, why do you have to catch yourself? I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, it just never bodes well. Um, so we'll see if that
Yeah.
turns into anything. But I think that's it. Do you have anything else for the
Mm.
episode or for spoilers? Alrighty,
Mm-mm.
well, we will see you
Mm-mm.
guys for tomorrow's episode. Again, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can stay tuned to all of our recaps. We do have a fangirl group chat on Instagram, so if you would
Mm-hmm.
like to join that, DM us at Black Girls Talking TV, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
All right. Bye.